Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Sponsored by Q of Reading, 16 to 18 Fry Street, Reading. Appreciation to PBL Jewelers, 186 Ealing Road, Wembley.
Hare Krishna, I'm Preeti Kuller. Welcome to Hare Krishna Culture, the program that brings you closer to the Hare Krishna movement. Today in our vintage clips of Srila Prabhupada in the early years of ISKCON, we take you to two places. First, we join Srila Prabhupada when he visited Tirupati in India in April 1974. Then we move on to May of the same year when he visited Rome. Here, we'll see how gracefully Srila Prabhupada cooked before moving on to the large public program that was held in a 5-star hotel in Rome. Every seat was taken, and there were still more people standing in the aisles and at the back of the room. Srila Prabhupada was so pleased that so many people had come to hear about Krishna consciousness, and he complimented their eagerness.
Srila Prabhupada stayed in Tirupati for 3 days, and the highlight of that trip was a special early morning darshan at 2 a.m. And I remember it was just a very mystical atmosphere, entering the deity room by torchlight, and then coming in front of Lord Venkateshwara, and the pujari waving the ghee lamp to illuminate his form. It was wonderful to see Srila Prabhupada gaze in reverence upon his Lord.
At the time, Prabhupada wasn't very well, so he was traveling with his own personal cook, who was Sasrup Maharaj. But when they arrived, they had just come from India. Sasrup had hepatitis. So then it was decided that I would be his cook. So because of that, Prabhupada was very involved in the cooking. So on 3 different occasions he came into the kitchen. And on this one particular time he came in to cook lunch. And he cooked the whole meal along with me and whoever was helping, Narmada. For some reason I'm pretty sure we made asparagus that day. Well, I had cooked for him previously, but one of Prabhupada's endearing qualities, just his like pure innocence. He'd come into the kitchen, and this was a very, very tiny room. And Prabhupada would walk into the kitchen and see a bowl of chickpeas. And he pointed everything. What is that? He'd be just so curious, but never sort of like imposing, or, he would just be like this pure innocence. And what is this? What is this? What is this? Like curious about everything. So we had a couple of Italian devotees cook an Italian preparation on a few days, and Prabhupada inquired what it was before he ate it, but he enjoyed them.
This particular footage was taken in May of 1974. It was the very first big public festival program that Prabhupada was present at. It was held in Hotel Parco de Principi, which is a 5-star hotel in a beautiful park called Villa Borghese, right in the heart of Rome. Auditorium had seating for 500. So I was thinking in the back of my mind that day, what if only 25 or 30 people show up? It's going to be a terrible impression. And it just so happened I was with Prabhupada the whole day, and we got there quite late. And actually when we got to the hall, the lights were down and we were showing the world of Hare Krishna. So then, after about 5 or 10 minutes, we were called that the film had just finished, so could we please immediately come onto the stage. And when we got onto the stage, the lights went up, I noticed that every single seat had been taken. It was absolutely amazing. Then I noticed that there were people standing at the back of the hall, there were people down the 2 sides of the hall, and there was even people sitting in the aisle in the middle. So I reckon there must have been at least 800 came to that program. And Prabhupada turned to me and he said, these Italians, they're very interested in Krishna consciousness. They want to hear. So after the kirtan, Prabhupada started to speak, and the translator was this very nice Italian devotee called Ali Krishna. So Prabhupada spoke for 45 minutes. Then he asked for questions. And there was a forest of arms shot up. Just amazing. It was hundreds of people wanted to ask a particular question. And Prabhupada turned to me again. He said, oh, just see. They really want to understand. And I'm very happy that they have this enthusiasm for learning Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada spent about an hour answering questions. Then we had another kirtan, we distributed prasadam, and then we went back to the temple in Via Mistreta.
Those were such wonderful clips. It reminds us that there are so many people out there who are inquiring about the absolute truth. Some don't even know where to find it. And that's why it is so important for all of us to talk to others about Sri Krishna. If at first you don't feel comfortable, perhaps offer them one of Srila Prabhupada's small books to read. So many people's lives have already been transformed by reading one of Srila Prabhupada's books, including myself. If not a book, then offer them a CD of the holy names. The Mahamantra is so powerful that even by hearing it, one's life can also be transformed. So let's now go over to ISKCON Coventry to hear and join in with the ecstatic kirtans to purify our heart, mind and soul. Weren't those kirtans really electric? I'm sure if you were initially seated, you were soon on your feet dancing along. ISKCON Coventry is such an inspiring yatra, full of vibrant life and energy. The temple president there, Haridas Prabhu, works tirelessly to keep that mood alive. Just as his kirtans are amazing, his classes are equally colourful, full of life and wonderful examples. Let's join Haridas Prabhu now as he speaks to us from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 17, verse 16. The chapter is entitled The Divisions of Faith.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tatta Kanchan Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So today's topic is the divisions of faith and is text 16. And these are 3 verses. Every chapter has got like Giri, I call them the peak. And there are 3 shlokas here which I like very much. It's text 14, 15 and 16 and is to do with austerity. And the first one is the austerity, of the body. And the other one is the austerity of the speech. And the last one is austerity of the mind. And we're going to talk about the austerity of the mind. And it's the 16th verse. Manha prasadha somyatvam monam atma vinigraha bhava samshuddhir iti etat tapo manasam uchate. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. And satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self-control and purification of one's existence are the austerities of the mind. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. To make the mind austere is to detach it from sense gratification. It should be so trained that it can be always thinking of doing good for others. The best training for the mind is gravity in thought. One should not deviate from Krishna consciousness and must always avoid sense gratification. To purify one's nature is to become Krishna conscious. Satisfaction of the mind can be obtained only by taking the mind away from thoughts of sense enjoyment. So Srila Prabhupada has said very nicely, don't take your mind thinking of sense gratification. Indriya Tripti as they call it. And it is said there that even when you're doing your duty, you just do it because you're meant to do it, but some people like to have control. Like karmanya evadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachin. So you shouldn't even be thinking of what results this is going to bring. What is in it for me? More and more people are arguing whenever they're asked to do something. Even when you have to do good for somebody, they'll say, well, what is it in for me? People are always looking for fruits, either name, fame, money, or whatever. Even when you do something, work of charity, some people will only do it if they get some benefit from it. So that benefit is also sense gratification, because the name and fame, the money you're going to get, you're going to use it to enjoy your senses. It means the goal of your life is not the Supreme Lord. The goal of your life is still your ahankar, your ego, your pleasure. And as Krishna says, manha shishtani indrani prakriti sthani karshati, means we are struggling in this material world. And you can't then be advancing in your Krishna consciousness. You stay where you are. So, the more we think of sense enjoyment, the more the mind becomes dissatisfied. Bandhur atma atmanastasya yena atmeva atmana jitaha. In the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it says that you have to make your mind your friend, or it finishes off by saying, or it'll continue to be your enemy. You don't want your mind to become your enemy. If you think you're going to give it sense gratification, it'll become your friend, actually it has gone through 8,400,000 species, and all it's done is the mind has enjoyed itself and not been satisfied. It's a flame. The more you put ghee in it, the bigger it gets. So you want to stop putting the ghee of sense gratification into that flame. Bandhur atma atmanastasya. You got to make it your friend. So what do? You give another kind of fuel to it, and it's called chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Tell you the truth, why I joined this movement. This was back in 72. Devotees came to Coventry. My father sent me there. I was a little reluctant. But when I spoke to them, and then they showed us the drama, Genie in the Bottle. And it's a wonderful story where a genie comes out of the bottle and demands that he keeps it busy. And if you don't keep it busy, it will kill the king and his minister. And they think of many, many things to keep the genie busy, and he's able to do everything so quickly. And the moral of the story is, in the end, they ask the genie to chant the Mahamantra all the time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. And the funny thing is, the genie said, I'm going back into the bottle. So Srila Prabhupada said very nicely that there was one gentleman, his wife said to him, chant, chant, chant. And the husband says, can't, can't, can't. So you can see the mind does not want to go towards the Supreme Lord, it wants sense gratification. So Srila Prabhupada has said it very, very nicely, you must engage yourself in activities which are taking you away from sense gratification. But you might think that's very boring, so what do we do? Well, we are dancing, we are chanting, and we're having prasadam. Same activities. It's a bit like, you're in an aeroplane, and you're sitting, you have your little prasad, you chant your rounds, you're just sitting, not doing anything. There might be another person on the ground, he's sitting, he's eating, and he's also chanting, whatever. The two might be looking that they're doing the same activities, but just remember, the one in the aeroplane might be sitting, just chanting, doing nothing, but he's traveling towards Vrindavan at an incredible speed. So when you look at two people, you might think the devotees are doing similar activities, just they sleep and they talk and they dance and they sing. But one is on a jumbo jet towards Golok Vrindavan, other one is staying here for repeated birth and death. Two similar activities, but there's a difference. One is on a journey. And Srila Prabhupada arranged that Boeing 747, whatever you want to call it, that we all do this fun-loving things like the dancing, the chanting, and the prasadam. Many people became devotees because of the prasad. Srila Prabhupada used to call them ISKCON bullets or some word like that, because people would come, they would fall in love with gulab jamuns. And they would always at the end wanted the gulab jamun from Srila Prabhupada. And when you have that prasad, it's amazing, that starts to transform you as well. So in our households, instead of sense gratification of today we'll have pizza, we'll have this, that and the other, saying what is Lord Krishna going to have today? Make something wonderful for them. And when you eat the prasad, it's karma free. So it might look like sense gratification, but it isn't, because it was made for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord and not your senses. So you can see it's in the consciousness, the adjustment. Physically, gross, it looks similar actions, but it's in the consciousness. So when you're eating prasad, that changes your mind. When you're chanting and singing, it might be mardanga, cymbals, or dolki, whatever. It might look like music, but it's transcendental music, because the consciousness, like the jumbo jet, is going somewhere. Whereas the sense gratification is repeated birth and death, doing the same thing, and the mind remains your enemy. You got to change it, and you can only do that through sadhu sang. Prabhupada is very clear. Prabhupada is very modern. He's not some traditional person, and he's not with the times. He's definitely ahead of the times. And he's saying, move away from sense gratification, move closer to Krishna. And that's why we chant all the time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you. Hari Bol.
Krishna Kirtan Ganana Pano Premamritam Manidhi Dhira Dhira Jana Priyau Priyakarau Nirmasanau Pujitau Sri Chaitanya Kripa Bharau.
Thank you, Haridas Prabhu, for such a nectarian class. Being a humble soul, Haridas Prabhu gives full credit for his training to his spiritual master, His Holiness Krishnadas Swami, who was born in Punjab in 1932. At a very young age, Maharaj left his parents' home and was raised by his maternal grandfather, a devout Vaishnava and a renowned astrologer. Under his personal guidance, Maharaj memorized the details of the Ramayana at the age of 11 and a few years later memorized the whole Bhagavad Gita. Certainly, having a highly spiritualized upbringing helped him prepare for the wonderful preaching activities he's doing now all over the world. Let's go over now to Shyamasakhi as she speaks to His Holiness Krishnadas Swami.
Hare Krishna. Today we're at the Shishi Radha Krishna Cultural Centre in South Norwood, and I have with me His Holiness Krishnadas Maharaj. We're very honoured that he's agreed to be with us today and say a few words. Hare Krishna Maharaj, and welcome to the show. Maharaj, I'd like to start off by asking you how and when you actually met Srila Prabhupada, because that's always such an interesting story that people tell, so maybe you can tell us your story as well today.
This is a very interesting story. I was sent by my Guru Maharaj to preach in the Western countries, preach Sanatan Dharam. I arrived in this country on 3rd April 66 and then started preaching here in South London. And one day, this was December 72, some devotees of Srila Prabhupada visited my ashram. Then after the door, I came out, opened the door and saw devotees standing in devotee dress, but Western people.
Sorry, Maharaj, can I just interrupt you? Sorry to interrupt you, but you said you were sent by your Guru Maharaj, so Srila Prabhupada was not your spiritual master at that time?
No.
Okay.
I was initiated in 1949.
Okay.
I was 16 years old at that time.
Oh, very young.
Very young.
Uh-huh.
Just after passing matriculation examination, I took initiation. That was Harinam initiation, 1949. Full initiation was 1950.
Okay.
About 60 years before. Second initiation, Gayatri Mantra and Guru Mantra received on Atapanna Akadashi, 1950.
Okay.
So, this is very wonderful. So, and my Guru Maharaj trained me up. First training was given to me. Prabhu dancing, so old,
Yeah.
very old,